Welcome to video number 4. This video has to do with the district side of NC Star. On December 25th, North Carolina got an entire new district portal, which now looks just like the school portal. In fact, when you're on the site now, it's a little confusing because you sometimes might say, oh, I'm looking at a school site, but you know right away you're looking at a district plan because you would see the district name at the very top of the page. In this case, I'm using a test site, it says Welcome North Carolina Test District. So I know very well that now I'm looking at the district side. For those of you that want to create a district plan, you would follow the same steps as your schools are doing. You have the same exact boxes, the same exact possibilities underneath each of these boxes. I will not go deep into detail on creating a district plan because it does follow the same steps as shown in videos 1, 2, and 3. But I do want to show you other aspects of the district portal that I definitely do not cover in the first 3 videos. First, a lot of you always have questions. Well, I see how to create a district plan, but I really am interested in coaching my schools. How do I continue to coach schools in this new look? So to coach your schools, you basically have to go to this blue button right up here on the top left where it says choose site to view, these blue binoculars. To get to that, and some of you were having the problem that you didn't find that button, and the reason for that, let me just show you what happens. Some of you were getting screens that were way too big, and so you had to reduce the screen size in order to get the blue button to appear. And if you're using a PC, you're talking about Control minus or Control plus to adapt the size. If you're working with a Mac, you would be doing Command minus or Command plus. But that little blue button is at the very top on the left-hand side. I call it just the binocular button. You just click on that, and as soon as you have clicked on that, then you can go ahead and go to any of your schools that you want to read their plan or send coaching comments to. And you would just click on the school name, click select, and automatically it would take me to that school. Now, how do I know now that I am at this school? Because it actually tells me in the top that I am viewing Test School 3. And that's how I know the distinction. That's how I don't get confused. I need to make sure I'm always looking at the top to see exactly what school I'm viewing. And then you would go to view feedback. And then in the feedback area, I'm able to create the coaching comment. So I would click on create coaching comment, type my full name into this box. What is this about? In this case, let's just say I'm talking about the plan itself. You can even specify an indicator. For example, I want to talk about A107, and then put in the coaching comment that you want, the questions that you have into that box, and then you would click Save Coaching Comment. So once you actually create the coaching comment, then the school would have the possibility of replying to the comment, and then you would have the back and forth conversation in this area. Now I will say that these comments are permanent, so once I press save, it stays there. There's no way of me going and retracting that or deleting it. They are permanent, and the great thing is that 2 years from now, new principal at this school, they can read all the comments that have taken place between district and school for the past 2 years. So it really is very helpful. With that said, I'm going to go back to the home page. Once I am done working with this school and I'm done looking at all their reports and things like that, then I can go ahead and either choose another school by clicking on the binoculars, or I can go back to my district dashboard. And I've just done that. It looks identical, but up here I see immediately that I am just looking at the district page. With that said, when it comes to the district side, update profile is where you would update all the district information, district name, address, phone number. You can put the website of the district, who the superintendent is, and who the process manager is. Now, this is a new possibility. This wasn't available in the past, but now with the new district portal, you're able to add someone that assists with NC Star throughout the district. Now, the importance of this has to do with coaching, actually. Let me explain that. So one of the things we've talked about is that NC Star can be structured in 3 different ways when it comes to coaching. Structure A is the default. The default is basically everyone in the district is using the same username and password. And what happens in that case, as a default, when a school replies to a coaching comment, then an email automatically goes to the only person listed on that update profile page, which is the superintendent. Now, the new feature allows you to add a process manager, which means that now the email will not only go to the superintendent, but the reply email will also go to this process manager. If that is not sufficient, if you would like more than those 2 individuals to get these reply emails, then that's just a conversation between myself here at DPI and someone at your district to see how we can possibly have those reply emails go to the entire district support and improvement team. The other 2 structures that are more popular, though, are Structure B and Structure C, where we actually work on creating teams in NC Star, and you get different usernames and passwords depending on what team you're in. And the great thing about that is that when a school replies, then the entire team, the entire district team, gets those reply emails. So it's more individualized, and it actually works more with larger districts or mid-sized districts that need the teams in place because they have more schools. Structure C is one that we've seen in a couple of districts in North Carolina where they've actually wanted an individual one-on-one relationship with a school. So, for example, they have a coach that's going to just coach this one school or these 2 schools, and no one else coaches those schools in the district. If that's the case, then all that's required is a list of those coaches, who exactly they're going to be working with in terms of what schools, and then we create individual usernames and passwords for each coach. The perfect thing about that is that they're the only ones coaching that school or those schools. They send a comment, they get their own reply emails from those schools. But those are the 3 possible structuring features that we can do in NC Star. That's done in the update profile, like I said. Let me go back to the home area. Set direction is where we can create the mission and goals of the district. We can type in what the vision is, what our values are, our mission statement, and what our actual goals are. And this is where you can put any type of performance goals that you might have, proficiency goals, performance measures, those types of things that the district and the board possibly have worked together on creating. In addition, you have the data review section, just like the schools. The only difference is that for the schools right now, we do have that optional needs assessment form. We still haven't created that for district offices. We are going to. That's in our plans for the future. But right now, the only data review is what's found here in number 2. And then number 3 is where indicator selection takes place. In number 3 is where you would be able to pick and choose the indicators. There are 27 indicators for district offices. All of them, again, divided into the same dimensions as schools. So there's 5 dimensions. If I wanted to see all the indicators, I would just press display all indicators, and you would see all 27. Anything that is currently marked in green, as I have here on this practice site, means that all of this is now in my workstation area, in my success cycle area, and now I can actually type up a plan with anything that's in green. The great thing about this area of NC Star is that, for example, if we had talked about focusing on these subgroup achievement targets and we get into conversation and we say, let's worry about that later on, we're going to plan some other things right now, you can deselect and select indicators as you work in the instrument. I've removed the indicator. For example, if we were having a conversation, all of a sudden we're saying, yeah, we definitely want to work on retaining more people in our district. Let's talk about how the superintendent might be able to celebrate certain individuals, teams, and so on. we're going to go ahead and add CO1, and it automatically shows me how it's added. Once you're done with that, then the rest of it, like I said, it's just like the school side. You have the hour meetings, which is where you are able to create those agendas and meeting minutes for your district meetings. You are able, just like the schools, to link to a Google Drive folder or any Google Docs that you have already. Then you have the success cycle, which allows you to actually create the plan. This is what I call the workstation area. And here are the indicators we've put in here. Well, there were 4 of them that were green, so they come out on here. And just as with the schools, you would just click on any of these. As I said earlier, the 2 continuous improvement cycles have the same wording. You are assessing, creating, and monitoring. Once you click on an indicator, it takes you to the assess stage. You would choose where you're at in terms of no development, limited, full. Then you have the priority score, opportunity score. You describe your current implementations, and it just takes you step by step. Just like with the school site, you do have WiseWays for every single one of these indicators. So all 27 district indicators also have those WiseWays research documents. I'm going to go back to the home page. And then the last one here is the reports and the feedback. These reports here are only about the district plan. So when you go into that report section, these are only the comprehensive report, just like with the schools, would be the entire district plan. The actions report would be exactly those action steps that are in the district plan. Let me go back to the home page, because the last button there, always people have questions about. And it says view feedback. Now, in the case of a district, you would not have anyone sending you coaching comments. So in reality, the view feedback button would be for low-performing districts in North Carolina. If you're one of those low-performing districts, according to general statute, then you would be receiving coaching comments from the Department of Public Instruction, so from the State Department of Education. And this is where you would see those comments, and you would be able to reply to those comments back and forth. So with that, let me show you the top right corner, because these are the buttons that are probably going to be mostly used this first year of implementation if you haven't created a district plan and you're just looking at what your schools are doing. On the top right, it's kind of silly that I mentioned this, but you do have a logout feature in NC Star, so make sure that when you're done working, you press that button so that no one else is able to access, especially because you're a district representative and you want to make sure all this information is secure. You don't want anyone to have access to all your schools. The little push pin or thumbtack is actually the bulletin board. The purpose of the bulletin board is to be able to send a message to all your schools that are using NC Star. So as soon as you press the little thumbtack or push pin, you're able to create these messages. You're able to also see past messages that you have sent in the past. Let me go ahead and create one real quick so I can show you how this works. In North Carolina, you would basically press all schools, because that would mean every school in your district would get the message. And then you would say what the start date and expiration date of the message is. So for example, I want the message to appear today, and I want it to disappear in 10 days. You would put who's sending it, and then you would send type the actual text of the message. So in this case, let's say, as a reminder, please do not forget to update all action steps in your plan. In addition, remember to press the submit button in order to archive your plan this spring. So you type in the message that you want every school to receive, you click send, and the message has been sent out. Now, how do I know that the message has been sent? Well, I can go actually check a school. So I can go choose site to view. You can pick a school here. And then as soon as I enter that school, I would be able to see that their little thumbtack or pushpin has a number 1. And it actually, if I just put my mouse there, it says you have a new message. And again, I'm in a school site because it's telling me I'm viewing test school number 10. I'm going to go back to my dashboard, go back to the district side. Then we have this document upload, which works just like the schools. This is where the district is able to create their own folders and upload their own pieces of evidence that they would like to archive here. And then you have this bar chart, which is actually where most districts want to go. Because this is actually where all the reports are that are analyzing what's going on at your schools. So we're going to spend some time here. It should open up in a separate tab. And it basically, we start off by saying that I'm able to pick what year I want to look at. So if your district has been using NC STAR for several years, you would have all the possible years that you can look at data. So I want to look at this year that we're at right now. First of all, I got to pick the indicators we're going to talk about. And in North Carolina, it's always going to be the student success indicators. We don't have extra lists like in other states. And I want to see, for example, who has submitted their plan, like who has actually archived, pressed that button and archived it. And I can see not only who pressed the fall button, but I can also see the spring button, and I can also see who's done that optional needs assessment and submitted it, and it's ready for us to take a look. So that's what that gives me. If I click on the date, it automatically takes me to that document. So I don't have to go into each school. I can just click on the actual date and it automatically gives me the needs assessment of that school in this case. I'm going to go ahead and close this. Display progress basically gets updated with dates. The last date that every school has actually done one of the items that it measures. So the last date that the school assessed something, the last date that they actually worked in their plan, which means they created an action step, and the last date that they were monitoring. In other words, that they actually marked something completed. So it's a quick look at all of my schools in my district, and I can see what's been going on, who actually, when's the last time they updated the information piece, so on and so forth. And with that, you have these 3 buttons on the right-hand side, which we're going to spend some time in. We have the reports area. The reports is where you have these 6 different reports here. We're going to go through each of them. Implementation report first. And I'm going to pick student success indicators at the top. You're always going to have to select that, unfortunately. Once I've done that, I get the implementation report. An implementation report basically tells me how many schools are selecting the indicators. And this shows me what schools are choosing. Now remember, in North Carolina, this is important because, yes, we do have 12 key indicators, but we also have an entire list of 105 indicators that schools can pick and choose from. So you might want to take a look at this and see what's popular in your district. What exactly are schools choosing on their own? In addition, I do want to show you that all reports have the little disk feature, which allows me to turn any of these into Excel spreadsheets, PDF, or Word documents. I like to put them in PDF because it's a quick way to see multiple pages. And the PDF gets downloaded, and I can open it. And there it is. And I can see all the indicators and how many schools have chosen each of these indicators in my district. Any indicators that you don't see on this list obviously have not been chosen by any of your schools. But I can see how many have actually created action steps for A107, for example. All 3 schools that chose it actually created action steps. Now in this blue one, it tells me 3 is 30% because I have 10 schools in this district. So 30% of my schools have actually worked on A107. But that's how you can see a quick list of all the indicators and what's going on in terms of usage in your district. Closing this, let me go ahead and close this one as well. And we're now at the submissions report. The submissions report is just like what we saw earlier. I can go ahead and select fall submission or spring submission or the needs assessment, and I can say I want to see all schools. And it basically tells me the principal, the email of the principal, and who actually has pressed that submit button. So if I wanted to send some quick emails to some individuals with some reminders, please don't forget to press submit. This is a way I can do that. I can print these out if I needed to, PDF it so I can send it out by email, just like in the implementation report. I can do the same thing for the needs assessment. I want to see who actually has submitted it. Display those results. And it shows me that 2 schools have actually done that optional needs assessment. I'm going to go ahead and close this. Then we have the school drill down report. You would select the student success indicators. And the good thing about this report is I'm able to see what's going on in my schools again in a quick glance. 11% would mean that I have 12 out of 105 indicators assessed. So I would like to see at least all of these in 11% because it would show me that at least they've tackled the 12 key indicators, or they've tried to assess the 12 key indicators. And then what I'm also focusing on is that everything that they've assessed has been planned for. In other words, every single one of their indicators that they feel they're going to need to work on actually has action steps. Achieved would basically just tell me how many indicators, what percentage of the 105 would be at full implementation. So that's how that is read. The planned, I can sort this. If I click the plan, it automatically sorts it by the percentages. It originally sorts it from least to high, and then I can do it again, and it will do it from high to the lowest number. So if I'm a larger district, that's a way I can sort this real quick and see who's at the top, who's at the bottom. I'm going to go ahead and close this. Coaching activity is very helpful for school districts that actually have gone with Structure C, where individual coaches. So for example, I'm going to show you school consultants in this case, because I'm at the state level. And I would be able to show you how many times we've logged in the past 90 days, how many coaching comments we've sent. As a district, you would select the district liaison button. In this case, I can't show you this because obviously I'm not a district, but I would have access to seeing all my coaches that have their usernames and passwords, how many times they're actually having conversations with their schools, how many replies they're getting, so on and so forth. The other benefit to this is that I'm able to actually click on the district coach's name, and it would give me a shorter list of their schools. And then I can click on the school, and it would actually let me see the coaching comments that have gone back and forth without having to actually enter that school. So let me go ahead and close this. The last one here is progress query. It's probably one of the more useful out of these 6. You basically have to select again student success indicators. Just don't forget to do that. And then I'm just going to go ahead and generate this report. I want to see it all. And once it loads, it basically is a spreadsheet that summarizes all my schools and gives me all these important data numbers. It tells me how many indicators have been planned, how many tasks have been created, and we know that those are called action steps now. How many action steps have been completed, how many objectives have been met, how many coaching comments they have received, and then last but not least, coaching comment responses. So it's a good way to see what's going on in my schools. Again, in a quick one-pager, you are able to download this as well if you want to put in a spreadsheet and delete some columns that you don't want to see, so you're able to send it out by email. I'm going to go ahead and close this one as well. And let's go back to the home district page and show you 2 of my favorite areas, school activity and data mining. I'll start with school activity because that's something simple. So school activity starts by showing you some numbers here, but the part I do like is this little button right up here that people forget exists. 13-month bar graph. And once you click on that, it will quickly compile 4 different bar graphs that I think are very good at seeing trends of what's happening in your entire district with all your schools. The first one has to do with meetings held. So you can see there was an uptick of meetings in my district. Then it's about completing those action steps, and you can see exactly what's been happening at your district, how your schools are actually meeting those objectives or meeting indicators. Coaching comments are being received. In other words, when exactly are your schools receiving most of those coaching comments? And please remember that we continue to push our recommendation that schools get 2 coaching comments every month from district office. So it just doesn't come 1 time a year or twice a year. That throughout the year they feel that someone is supporting them throughout this process of improvement. And then the last one is responses to coaching comments. So how are the schools replying? If you're sending out 76, are you getting back the same replies? So on and so forth. But definitely this is a good place to see trends of what's happening district-wide. The last thing I will show you is data mining. And this is the most powerful area for districts, in my opinion. If I click on data mining, it will take me to 2 tabs here. I have indicators and coaching comments responses. Coaching comments responses is where I can actually go into each school and see the coaching comments that have taken place. So this is a quick way to see what type of conversations have been going on at each of my schools without having to enter each school site. Indicator is where you can actually see what's happening with each of these indicators in your district. So for example, if I was to click on E106, which I know is one of the key indicators, I can then look at the type of data that my schools are actually typing. In other words, what are they actually planning to do? I can not only see who has marked it as limited and who has marked it as fully implemented in my district, but I can even see what they're hoping to achieve in terms of what they typed in that box that says, what is this going to look like when fully met? Or I can see action steps that each of my schools have written. So if I click on actions in this case and I click submit, I will quickly get a report of every one of the action steps my schools have in their plan for E106. And this allows me to see strengths and weaknesses in my entire district. I can try to see where professional development might be needed, who understands the indicator, who doesn't, what 2 principals might I suggest talk to each other, all these things. And I can do this from every little part of NC Star. Like I want to see, like I said, the description of where they're going. I select that, I click submit, and automatically I see where all these schools are heading with that indicator. If I wanted to see who marked it as limited and see their current description of implementation, I click on limited there, and automatically I see who marked it as limited, what their description was. So that's the power of data mining. Always remember that the Weebly is available to assist you with anything you might need throughout the year. If you have any questions at all, contact information is still there in the contact page. I'm going to go back to the home screen. Again, hopefully this video was helpful to you. If you have any questions at all, please send me an email and I will try to assist your district office with anything you might need. Again, thank you so much for watching video number 4.